or I think it's 4:15 game this week because it's the one game on Sky this Sunday. Manchester United at home to West Ham at 4:15 indeed. United are currently 1.74, West Ham 5.1, and the draw is available at 4.2. Both teams to score yes is 1.82, no is 2.08, and West Ham are getting a quarter of a goal head start at 2.0, and the goal line is 2 3/4. Mark, looking for a bet on this one. I think United it's becoming more clear every week that Ten Hag is definitely having a massive impact there, and we saw that. I don't think United have gone to a big six team like that and got a lot of the ball early on, particularly that first half. Where are you currently? I think this is one of those games that if United are to get top four, they probably need to sneak a win, even if they don't necessarily play that well.
Yeah, respectful of Man United and the progress that they're making, for sure. I think the last fortnight, as we've learned a lot about them, dominant against Tottenham at Old Trafford, and then that first half in particular at Stamford Bridge was very impressive before Chelsea made the change and switched things up really. But impressed with their efforts. It was a very well-deserved draw. And yeah, they've been excellent in possession. The issue I've had really with them is when they've got into the final third, things have tended to break down a little bit. They're taking pot shots from distance rather than kind of conjuring up some clear-cut opportunities. But defensively, there's been improvements. You can see the influence that Casemiro has brought to that midfield and the balance it's brought them to. Eriksen, excellent as well. Lindelof is injured now. Not Lindelof, sorry. Varane's injured, and Lindelof might come back in, which is a bit of a blow, obviously. But yeah, United are ranking mid-table in terms of XG generated. They're actually yet to generate an XG higher than 1.8 in the Premier League this season. And if you look at their sort of XG per shot, it's very, very low, which kind of goes to show that they are kind of taking efforts from distance rather than conjuring up some clear-cut opportunities. But at Old Trafford, they've been very strong. Obviously, 3 wins from 4 recently against strong opposition as well: Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, and they're playing a decent West Ham team who are trending in the right direction. I think it's interesting, Thursday night games in the Europa League. You say United are playing Sheriff in the Europa League. Looks like an open goal, really, but they have to win that game, because if they don't win the group, they basically have to play 2 extra games to get to I think it's the quarterfinals of the Europa League. If they win the group, they obviously bypass the first stage of the knockout rounds come 2023. So there is reason for them to go out and try and win that game, whereas West Ham are in a much stronger position in their Europa Conference League game at home against a Danish team, Silkeborg. However, this is West Ham's 3rd game in 6 days. They obviously have to play on Monday night as well, so the schedule's massively against them. They are moving in the right direction, played well in the second half at Anfield, missed that penalty, but created a lot of opportunities. But their away form has been pretty poor for a while now. I think it's 1 win away from home this season. They've scored just 3 goals in 6. Further back, 2 wins, 2 draws, 10 defeats on the road, 2 clean sheets and 17 away. Not really good enough. And we talked about it before the Liverpool game, but their record last season when they were going well, away at the top half, 0 wins, 2 points and 7 losses. They failed to score in 5 of those 9. They lost all 6 trips to the Big Six. They were competitive in most of those matches, but they are ultimately not getting results. So I expect United to do enough, shall we say, to get the result. I'm not expecting a shootout by any stretch. It's not really in West Ham's nature, especially away from home. So odds against on United to win and under 4.5 goals was fine by me. But this is a tricky one.
Yeah, Adrian or Mark touched on it there. So for supporters of non-Europa League sides, they've changed the format, I think, since last season. So first place gets straight into the last 16, and then second place will play the third place teams in the Champions League. And obviously we know Barcelona are going to be in there, so Juventus are going to be in there, Miguel's Atletico are going to be in there. It's a lot going on there.
Arsenal are hoping that Man United end up in that
yeah, exactly. For a bet then, go on.
Yeah, no, I would echo everything that Mark said. I had some similar stats on West Ham's poor away record. I've worked on a couple of their games lately as well, West Ham, and they're definitely getting better, but they're not very exciting. They're solid, but absolutely not spectacular. I think only 2 of their 12 Premier League games so far have been over 2.5 goals. West Ham United, so they've been involved in a lot of dullish matches. Only 4 of the 12 have seen both teams to scoreland. They've failed to score in 5 of those dozen games as well, West Ham. So, and they have a wretched record at Old Trafford. Just 3 points collected in a winless run of 14 matches away to Manchester United. So they've picked up 3 draws. during that spell. So going there and winning isn't something they really do. As Mark's outlined, away to the big boys, West Ham are competitive, but very rarely come out on top. And that's how I see this one. Man United are definitely improving. I like what I see from them. Ten Hag is clearly a very demanding coach, and he's definitely starting to get a tune out of the team. I can see them absolutely challenging for the top four, which I wouldn't have said earlier on in the season. And I think they'll win this game, but they won't run away with it because West Ham are pretty stubborn. So yeah, exactly the same for me. Man U and under 4.5.
Meant to say as well that Lucas Paquetá is injured as well and missing for West Ham, and that's a big blow. He's already been quite an influence in that midfield.
Yeah, and I think the talk is he probably won't make games before the World Cup. I think that's touch and go. Miguel, for you, you're under similar lines again. It's great having the lads agreeing. So.
Yeah, I don't think we've had this much agreement in maybe in most of the season. I have to say, even the bets that are slightly different are kind of aligned along similar expectations. But yeah, it does feel like something is getting through with Ten Hag and United. You can see it in kind of the flow of their play. It still hasn't translated into a huge amount of goals yet, which I think is something. And actually, that's related to kind of other issues, of course, not just Ronaldo, but also the fact that Ronaldo, who doesn't really fit this system, but without Ronaldo, then they don't really have that supply of goals. It's something they obviously need to sort in January. Rashford it does feel like he's more of a wide raider, as Southgate once described him, rather than a finisher in that way. Martial, you can't completely rely on. They need to bring in a 9 that isn't Ronaldo, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I think up until then, and it could be till the end of the season, I think a lot of United wins are going to be 1-0, 2-0. So of course that only amplified by the fact that what is David Moyes going to do when he goes to a big club? He sits back, and it's one reason his record is so poor, particularly in terms of scoring. And actually, this even kind of thinking now, it's almost caused me to go a little bit lower. Man United under 3.5, but yeah, I think we'll see a narrow United win. But I suppose just because of where the clubs are, you can't be completely. So it's not like to return to old favourites. It's not like Atletico a few years ago where you can go, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0, done. United aren't there yet.
No, well, I think it's definitely worth the play here. And over even money, 2.06 United and under 4.5 goals. We'll lock that in as a bet.